I have tried all the different difficulty mods in Baldur's Gate 3's mod manager, and I've compiled a list of the 25 best difficulty mods in Baldur's Gate 3's mod manager to help make your next honor mode run even more challenging. We got some really fun ones here, and I'm just going to dive right into things here with the challenge modes mod. This is a mod made by Xiphias Rex here. Now, what this does is it adds a few different challenges into the game. There's 9 different ones currently, with things like a hitless mode, where if you get hit with any damage, you just automatically die. There's the 1 HP run, no death saves. Whenever you get down, you just go completely down. No short rest, pain of failure, psychic damage on any time you fail a check, which I think is a really cool one. No one gets left behind. Game over is triggered if any player in the active party dies, so no one can go down. True death. So anytime one of your teammates goes down, they're down for good, which is actually pretty scary. Dying hurts. Every time a player dies, their constitution is reduced by 1 up to a -20 penalty. Very, very difficult. And then the Thou Walkest Alone. You cannot respec or use hireling services from Withers. So this one's pretty cool because it offers a bunch of different challenges that you can choose from. So I think that is a really nice mod in the mod manager. We also got enemy tacticians here. So it enhances every NPC combatant with new passives and abilities to expand their capabilities. Every NPC gets assigned a rank, and those ranks get different abilities. So some of them will get healing surges, kind of like potions that keep persistent foes into fights. Those that use weapons will learn the ability to apply statuses with those weapons. Spellcasters have additional slots to power their spells. And there's enhanced accuracy on the enemy, so you're much less likely to survive getting hit. Enemies will also get magical items to enhance their abilities as well. And there's entirely new passives here. So this mod by Flare76 is really cool. And there's also a patch for this that adds the legendary actions to all the bosses too. So if you're doing this honor mode, you want to download both of these mods. But this is really cool just because it adds so much new stuff into the game. So Flare76 made both these mods here. And next up is the Darkest Dungeon difficulty by Lenubis here. And this is really cool if you play Darkest Dungeon. So you get a book which you apply to your teammates, and what this does is you get stress on a failed saving throw, critical miss, or anytime you get hit with a critical hit, and you can relieve that by using Calm Emotions, a spell that is definitely underutilized in Baldur's Gate 3. Whenever you get a critical hit, and if you receive a critical miss, that reduces the overall stress. So stress will reduce your saving throws and armor class, and once you receive 10 stacks, you roll to see if you're going to either become virtuous or hopeless. And once you become hopeless, you can't become virtuous for the rest of combat, but also if you get downed, you become hopeless as well. And if 20 stress stacks are reached, the hero will die of a heart attack. So this just adds a lot of extra kind of panic to the game because, yeah, if you get hit with a critical hit, you just count one up and you'll end up getting downed at a certain point once you hit 20 of those. And also losing that armor class and saving throws is really bad too. So yeah, I think overall this is an incredible mod. So definitely worth checking out. Next up is the Nightmare Stronger Bosses mod by Mickey Hisa77. There is a lot going on with this mod, as you can see here, and there's a lot of equations and math happening. There was an update as well that added more powerful mages into it, which have some pretty powerful magic. It's not fully complete as of yet, but from my testing, I found this to work really well. Now, this makes some bosses immune to crowd control, which actually changed the game quite a bit, as I currently use a lot of crowd control. They also get Death Ward on a lot of enemies, which allows them to come back up once they get downed. There's also Little Chiefs, which will buff up bosses, so once you take those down, the bosses kind of lose their benefits they get. A lot of things will have See Invisibility, Ritual Casting, and there's also Stronger Chiefs, which will buff up their bosses. And the mages that previously mentioned, there's more stuff to come here, but you can see recommended Tactician Enhanced setup is as follows here for the different acts. I think this is awesome too, because one of the dependencies for this mod is actually the Tactician Enhanced mod. So with that, they have their recommendations. So they recommend +2 actions in Act 3. This is including the level 20 mod as well. So I think this offers a very balanced playthrough, especially if you want to run a level 20 playthrough and also have it be challenging. There are also some new fights in the game added with this, but yeah, this is just an awesome mod overall. So Nightmare Stronger Bosses. Now, we also got this mod here. Rela Mod has made a few different really great mods that I cannot recommend enough. They're not outright like difficult mods, but they add a layer of difficulty to the game. With enemies rework, this is a really great one. So Combat and Faction Overhaul. This adds the new subclasses from patch 8 to some enemies, which no really any other mods will currently do. Removed Action Surge from all enemies, added Potion to Healing to some enemies. There's a lot of changes. So more spells, action, and passive buffs. And the passives are actually pretty crazy. Harder fights with more unpredictable outcomes. Most factions will have its own unique buffs. So Yeah, when you go into a certain group of enemies, they may all have similar buffs. No change to enemy HP, AC, or base stats. You can do plenty of other mods, which I think is nice because this is light. It layers on top of other mods, and you can see here kind of an example. So like this goblin here gets improved critical hit, the defense, and the tough feed, which overall boosts its health. Some enemies will now use, instead of just doing a regular old arrow attack, they may use an arrow of ice. They may use Hunter's Mark. So this really enhances the amount of difficulty that you'll be facing. And then you can see here's a unique faction buff. So the Absolute's presence applies mental interference and debilitation on themselves. So that's really cool. Each of the different fights that you'll get into, you'll see something new every single time, which I think is awesome. And I'll also follow this up with another Rela mod one in extra encounters. If you have not played the game yet with extra encounters, this is your sign to go do so. 2.2 million people have, and they've definitely enjoyed it quite a bit because it adds new fights into the game. Like you can see this skeletal dragon you can fight in Act 2, the Avatar of Black Hith, aberration fights. This is right outside Grimforge. Pretty cool. You fight a few Azers and a Fire Myrmidon there, Forged Fire. This is whenever you go to the, in Act 1, there's new fights that you'll be very surprised by. Now, one thing that's nice too is they actually include a map here with all the locations of where the fights are going to be. So you see certain mini-bosses by the Ryzen Road there, Joaquin's Rest, different encounters here, and then allies versus enemy fights as well. So then into the Underdark, there's 3 mini-boss and 1 ally versus enemy fight. And then here, yeah, you get the idea of it. It's got a lot of really cool options for new fights, and it's now updated for Act 3 as well. So yeah, there's a lot with the extra enemies and encounters mod. This is just incredible. And then also on top of that, if you want to make the fights that you're currently doing more difficult, the more enemies mod will make everything more challenging. So at the start of the Goblin Camp here, instead of 1 ogre, you'd be fighting 2. More imps, it doubles the amount of imps. So this just basically doesn't always double the amount of enemies, but you're typically going to be fighting much more enemies at a given time. And there's sometimes going to be different enemies in total here. So like the hook horrors that you fight, there's a couple extra ones here. It's really nice. So yeah, those 3 mods by Rela Mod I highly recommend. You can actually use all 3 of them together. And then they actually work with things like Tactician Enhanced on top of that. The Equalizer difficulty boost P8. I think this one kind of flew under the radar. Really great mod by Gabes Mod here. So this is part of the random spawn generator mod, which we'll get to. I also think that's a really great mod. So this allows the enemies to learn the spells and attacks from you so that they can use those attacks back against you. This is really cool. So they actually shared a really cool story that they used here. So they were fighting against the Mystic Carrion, or playing as a Mystic Carrion, and they used their Vile Curse, and then the enemies end up getting it and applying it to them. And then they also have the Dreadful Glare, and the enemies will glare right back at them. And on top of that, they also, the enemies get Mummy Rot, or the Rotting Fist from the mummies, and replace the unarmed attack, so all the zombies do a bunch of extra damage. So yeah, it makes things a lot more challenging. And you can actually pair this well with Gabes Mod AI Addon P8 here by Gabes as well. So this, some AI changes I made in an attempt to make the game more brutal. This changes the mod only. This only changes the base AI of enemies. So yeah, reduces AI stupidity. Yes, it is stupid on purpose. And it is, yeah, it definitely is, even on honor mode. Increases the likelihood the AI will use killing blows. It'll target lower HP enemies. It'll crowd control people. So yeah, it increases the likelihood of a lot of things and decreases the AI likelihood of attacking neutral NPCs. So yeah, this just overall boosts up the enemy's difficulty. And next up, we got the Nightmare Difficulty AI by the Real Zier. This one is actually available on console as well. So this is another AI change to the game. This one brings a lot of good stuff. So enhanced enemy AI will think tactically, prioritizing your high-value targets, so going after Gale a bit more relentlessly. And they'll also focus on critical threats, exploit weaknesses, and make better use of area of effect spells. Dynamic positioning, so they obviously avoid more difficult areas to go around, and will stay close allies when needed. And balanced aggression, so it feels challenging without being frustrated. So I think this is another really good one. Nightmare Difficulty. I've actually played quite a bit with this mod, and I can't say enough good things about this. So yeah, either of these are great for a new AI version of... When I say AI, I mean the enemy's thought process, and whenever it goes to attacking you, not anything else. So yeah, this just changes the way the enemies come and attack you. Now, one of the most popular, Pixel Bytes Tactician Enhanced. This one's great. So it's actually recommended by a lot of other mods. You basically get this ability here. You can toggle that on, which will give you all these abilities right beside my big fat head here that lets you change some of the things. There's also some more abilities coming here, so you can choose between a static or a scaling mode. So this depends on how large your party size is. If you add like 2 more party members to your team, it may end up giving the enemies another bonus action. You get to set all the configurations here. They don't have any add-ons currently, but that's something they have been working on, so hopefully we'll see those in the future. And the next thing is there's an uninstall button, so if you want to get rid of it, you can always can. But this is how you modify it. So if we want to go with a scaling mode here, you just go apply, you cast a spell, and then a menu will pop up, and you can go ahead here. Next page will also explain everything. There's a lot to talk about here, but yeah, you can see there's different ways in order to make this more challenging. So if you got 2 party members, plus 20% health. You got 8 party members, plus 40, and 2 actions, etc. So yeah, there's a lot of information related to this in the mod itself. Yeah. Tactician Enhanced by Pixelblade is one of the most popular difficulty mods for a good reason. I could talk about this for a while, but yeah, you can set the enemy's health, their actions, and their bonus action. You can scale it up, or you can set a static to give them an extra amount, and it works well with a lot of the other difficulty mods mentioned in this video. Now, this is another one that's kind of similar. If you prefer a more bare bones experience, enemy boost health on 100%. This is for Tactician difficulty. So in Tactician, instead of a 30% boost, you now get 100% boost by Acrodite there. Again, if you're looking for a more basic kind of way of playing, it's also available on console. Just set and forget, plug and play. You don't have to do much with it. Now, this isn't necessarily a difficulty mod, but hear me out on this. D20 Initiative. The base game of Baldur's Gate 3 uses a D4 initiative. That means if you have the alert feat, which gives a +5, you don't even have to roll a dice, and you're always going to be getting higher if a target has no dexterity modifier. That makes dexterity a very powerful stat in Baldur's Gate 3, and this will reduce that quite a bit. So this is made by Ponson Nomi, and what this does is, again, just change your D20, or your initiative die to a D20. So I find this to be very challenging because you may roll a different initiative than your teammates. Sometimes it's nice because you got 2 of your high dex users. Often, if you got alert on them, they're going to go right at the start of combat. This changes things. You could have the alert +5. You could have a +5 in your dexterity modifier. You could roll a 5, and the enemy still will roll higher. It could roll higher than you. So yeah, this is really good. There's also mods that actually work alongside this to actually change the die. Or excuse me, it changes the alert feed. So this one's made by Permanov, who made the Ancient Mega Pack plus REL. So the alert will then give a +10. So yeah, logically they should have made a +25 initiative, but that would again broke the meaning of initiative. So this is another one if you want to use and you love alert, giving it a boost +10 instead of +5. But I think the D20 initiative die is actually a really good mod just because it makes things a lot more unpredictable. Next up, we got the enemy boost 250% honor mode. So this gives enemies 250% more health. Again, for those that rather just a plug and play experience, you can use this one, or the enemy boost 500% by Ken Cacao. I unfortunately can't pronounce this one, but that's the name right there. So this boosts enemies health by 500% in honor mode. Again, you can do this in Tactician Enhanced, but if you don't like having all the options here and having to fiddle around with it, this is just a simple plug and play. So I just want to mention these as well. This is a cool one. This is not like other difficulty mods that I mentioned here. So random spawns, kind of name implies. You'll go around, you carry this item, it'll sometimes pop out enemies, and you can set a bunch of different parameters on this mod. It was actually last updated yesterday. Gabe Camamescro has put a lot of work into this. Spawn rate is 25 D20s. Totally random, so spawns can happen every 2.5 to 120 minutes or anywhere in between. You can also force it to create the enemies to pop in, and what it does is it just drops a little orb there, and then all the enemies just flow inwards, and you go fight against them. I think it's a really cool mod because, yeah, it makes it more challenging and unpredictable, and that's exactly what we want from a difficulty mod. And yes, you can fight some pretty crazy fights with this mod, but I mentioned it to some people. It's kind of like a Trials of Tab if you're on console because it adds a randomizer and some extra fights into the game. So yeah, this is cool. I definitely recommend checking this one out. There's a few different parameters. I recommend reading through it whenever you download it. And General's Combat Difficulty, +1 action points for enemies. This is made by Permanov here. Again, the creator of the Ancient Mega Pack plus REL. So what this does is it just adds an extra action point to all enemies. Kind of similar to Tactician Enhanced, but another plug-and-play bare-bones mod that you can just download and go. So subscribe, enable the mod, play, and go. Yeah, I just want to include some of these here because some people don't like to fiddle around. Because you can add an action point and 500% health if you prefer from Tactician Enhanced. Some people, I've gotten comments that they don't like to dig through those menus, so I just want to reference these mods as well. Harsh difficulty. Tougher and longer fights, bugs fixes, even stricter action economy, exploits removed. So this is made by Moradin's Mods, or Olupaj and Mi Banan. So what this does is it makes fights more long and exhausting. And this mod was made with multiplayer especially in mind. So just some general changes. It boosts overall health by 160 of enemies up to level 8 and 290 for enemies of level 9 above, up from the 30% at all levels. So a huge boost to the overall health. And also This means it'll have triple the Tactician health. Attack roll bonuses and spell save DC bonuses are now equal to proficiency instead of +2 at all times. Enemies now have mental saving throw bonus equal to proficiency bonus, so they're less likely to get hit with commands and hold person. There's also Tactician is renamed to Harsh and now uses Honor Mode rule set, including legendary actions. Honor Mode has been renamed to Iron Man. Difficulty is the same as Harsh, but with single save active. This is the true hardcore mode. XP needed for levels 11 and 12 has been reduced by 20%. With this change, you can enjoy the max levels longer, which you kind of need for this. So yeah, this is a very challenging fight mode. Definitely worth checking out if you think it's interesting. And also, we got the 1 HP challenge. As the name implies, kind of similar to the challenge mod I showed off at the start, because that also has a 1 HP challenge, but this one came out in October, so it was first. Lily the Yuri here. So yeah, I know a lot of people really like the level 1 challenges, 1 HP challenges. It's totally possible because there's a lot of cheesy things you can do in Baldur's Gate 3. So yeah, you can apply that to all 12 different classes. So we're checking out if you find that interesting. Next is DedTuned Exhaustion for Honor Mode and tuning. So this has only been made for Honor Mode. This adds exhaustion into the game, which means you have to short rest and long rest more, because otherwise you'll stack up your exhaustion stacks and then you can end up getting sleep deprivation, which makes it so you do a Constitution saving throw DC 15 every turn or fall asleep. And then there's slight fatigue will give a -2 penalty to saving throws, ability checks, attack rolls, and spell difficulty challenge or class. It also adds new feats to the game, like the ambidextrous. Once per turn after making an offhand melee attack, you make an additional one for free. Abnormal obstinacy. Nancy there. So then we need to roll a critical hit reduced by 1 every time you use this. You hit the same target in melee. You should not use two-handed or versatile weapon holding in 2 hands. This effect stacks up to 5 times, so increase critical hit chance. And the duelist mage, you can cast a cantrip, except Eldritch Blast as a bonus action after making a melee attack with a weapon you're proficient in. Your left hand should be free. So yeah, this is pretty cool. It adds a few different things as well. So old feat changes durable, protects from critical hits, and you regain full health points when you short rest. That's pretty crazy for durable. Great weapon master. Only gives +6 damage, but a -3 to attack rolls, which is a little bit more beneficial. And then Sharpshooter, with two-handed weapons, add your dexterity modifiers damage bonus, but costs additional movement points. So yeah, some changes to feats as well in here. I think this is pretty interesting that you may find cool. You cannot use buffs out of party. Pickpocketing is harder. Feats do not provide ability bonus. You get +1 on level 7 and +2 on level 11 for free. So this actually changes quite a bit by Slaphidney. You also cannot multi-class. There is a multi-class enabler mod, but yeah, this just further makes things challenging. Some spells are changed, and some do not require concentration. You cannot heal allies by throwing bottles into their heads. Healing potion costs an action, and you can use it on allies in melee range. Pretty crazy. You cannot one-shot bosses with barrels, bombs, and fireworks in your pockets. So yeah, this actually makes things very much harder and a completely different experience from some of the other mods that I mentioned here. Next up is the Deadlier Honor Mode by the CH here. So they made a lot of other mods, a lot of Deadlier mods. They made some Darkness mods. They made a lot of really great mods. I love their Blood Moon mod for Act 3. So this increases the overall health +60% here. Again, you can do this with other mods, but many enemies will gain useful passives like Alert or Extra Attack, only effective on Honor Mode rule set. Alert is specifically tough, as I mentioned, because if the enemy go over for you, sometimes they can completely shut you down. Minibosses gain a new powerful spell they can use if they see fit. Kaga can use Eldritch Blast. Spectator has Guardian Spirits around it. In turn, they give more XP to the player. Almost all enemies gain a weakened version of Misty Step and Polymorph. Enemy debuff now deal more damage and might last longer. Slightly difficult reworks to Orange Slayer form can now use a fire-based smite if she sees fit. Halston's portal health went from -35 to -50, can now cast Moonbeam and can move. Overall, 1 DC and 2 attack bonus die for enemies, and some enemies will gain spell slots, movement speed, or extra action points. And there's a couple new fights here, so yeah, that's really cool too. I love when they add new boss fights into the game, so this is pretty cool, and you can see Cleric Beast. If you're a Bloodborne fan, you'll be fired up to see that. So yeah, this is another awesome mod by CH, the Deadlier Honor Mode. And finally, we got Honor Mode Plus by Panzer Faustina. So a simple quality of life mod or quality of death, which does 2 things. Makes Withers stay out of camp, so you can't use anything Withers related. And yeah, that's obviously pretty powerful because Resurrection is quite overpowered. And disables the flee combat button. So yeah, you can't flee combat and you can't go back to Withers or respawn. This makes Honor Mode a lot more challenging. I feel like these rules, well, I guess you should have Withers, but I feel like the flee combat is such a really powerful ability because you can solo Honor Mode with it. So that removes it from the game, and I think that's for the better. So yeah, that is 25 of the best difficulty mods in Baldur's Gate 3. If you have any questions around any of them, feel free to leave a comment below. I try to keep this as brief as possible to cover as much information too. So let me know if you want to know anything more about these mods. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. I hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you all in the next video.